Good afternoon. I'd like to thank everyone for being here today and Oren Heiman for accepting my invitation to be the speaker. On behalf of Sabra Tech Hub, I would also like to thank the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce at Rio, Ribeirão Preto and Santa Catarina, the Israel-Brazil Chamber of Commerce at Tel Aviv, and the Academic Incubator of Technology and Innovation, YATI-FEMA, for their support. And thanks also to Oxytrade for being our sponsor. Sabra Tech Hub is an initiative created by WISPLINE with the support of the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce at Rio to promote the dissemination of Israeli technologies in Brazil. This event is part of a series of events that take place every other week. So if you guys like our event today, stay tuned for more interesting content that we will bring over the next weeks. In today's event, I will present NatureGrowth, the world's largest ag-tech incubator, which is expected to launch no fewer than 80 cutting-edge startups to market over the next few years. All startups come from research carried out in renowned institutions in Israel. The incubator's technology park is located in Sderot, which is 1 hour south of Tel Aviv, and includes offices and labs for the incubated startups. And today, to talk about NatureGrowth, I'm pleased to welcome Oren, CEO, Oren Heiman, which is the CEO. Thank you, Oren, and welcome.
Thank you, Fernanda. So first of all, I would like to say thank you to Fernanda and to Sabra and to the partners of the Hub for putting this together. Very exciting, very relevant for us at the stage that we are to reach out to the people who are interested in 3 elements: interested in innovation, interested in Israel, and interesting in agriculture and food. My name is Oren. Like Ilana, Oren means tree, so my name comes from nature. I am a lawyer by profession, and I lived in New York for the last 18 years, moved back to Israel a few years ago, and am now the CEO and the founder or the initiator of creating NatureGrowth. The presentation will be, I'm guessing, somewhere between 10 to 15 minutes. And I would love, during the presentation, if you have questions, to put it in the chat room. And at the end of the presentation, to answer questions orally. Okay, so a lot of information, and I want to try to get through the information efficiently. So let me share my screen here and go through some nice colorful slides. There we go. I hope the presentation is up. So NatureGrowth is an incubator. An incubator is a physical facility which brings in companies or technologies, creates a long process, puts in a lot of money, provides a lot of services, and eventually launches from the incubator global companies. Israel has incubators in energy and water, in food tech, in medical devices, in electronics and software, and NatureGrowth is basically Israel's first incubator focusing just on agricultural technologies. So our SDGs, what we are trying to create is a combination of SDG 2, zero hunger, to solve the big gaps, the big problems of the world in food security, and in the second hand, or at the same time, also to reduce the amount of pollution being caused by agriculture. Agriculture causes more than 25% of the carbon emissions worldwide, and we want to reduce that number significantly. We were created by a group of 35 co-founders. About a third of them are scientists, a third of them are business people, and a third of them are various from government and from impact and from other fields. And we are actually launching the incubator in 4 weeks. So for Rosh Hashanah, for the Jewish New Year, we are going to be launching the physical facility, the headquarters. and also bringing in our first companies and starting our 8 years of operations. So as Fernanda mentioned, we are looking forward to creating 80 ag tech companies, which is a very big number in the world of incubators. We need a big space, we need a big team, and we need, most importantly, a big deal flow. A lot of technologies to come in so that we can choose the technologies that are right for us. And thank God Israel has a very extensive ecosystem of applicable agricultural science. We have 7 universities in Israel that have either agronomy or biology or chemistry or genomics or robotics, the various subcategories of agriculture. We have the Volcani Center, which is the government-owned research center for applied science in agriculture. And we have a lot of companies with deep scientific teams from which we are going to be creating spin-offs. The scientific team, if any of you are involved, like Antonio, in AgTech in Israel, you probably know some of the names. These are our scientific committee. This is the top person in the various categories. Professor Yoram Kapulnik is the CEO of the BARD, the American-Israeli Research and Development arm of agriculture. Professor Adat Shosayov is a serial entrepreneur, professor, a lot of companies in food and ag tech. Professor Eyal Shimoni was the CTO of Strauss for many years, the top food company in Israel, and he created The Kitchen, which is Israel's leading food tech incubator. Dr. Eyal Emanuel is the head of the consortium of CRISPR in Israel. He's the lead genomics expert. Dr. Nadav Galon was the chief veterinary officer of the Israeli government for many years, etc. Our leadership, in addition to me as CEO, we have 2 PhDs who are leading the investment committee, Dr. Noam Chehanovsky and Dr. Gaia Loren. Ben Friedman was the COO and co-founder of Hargol, which is a company creating grasshoppers for food and feed. And Rotem Dafna was a legal counsel in Hazera Genomics, Israel's largest seed company. So we have a good round team of people from various elements of the ag business and ag science world in Israel. Our board member, we have board members in Israel, we have board members in the US and in Europe leading our board. This is the 35 co-founders. Words so that you can look. There's too many words in this deck. Fernando will share it with everyone. So how do you find so many technologies? Tech transfer from universities and from the Volcani Center, the ARO, scientific and industry partners. Israel has over 50 public companies with strong scientific teams in the agricultural sector. We are getting technologies from them. There is a phenomenal startup ecosystem in Israel. I'm sure that this is not news to you. In ag and food, there are over 400 active startups in Israel. And if a startup still has a lot to do in research and development, they can simply join the incubator and continue their development inside the incubator. We're also looking at technologies coming from outside of Israel, and we're also going to be creating solutions to global pains, which we recognize and think that there is an opportunity here to create a good company. Main verticals, basically it's anything and everything having to do with agriculture. We're not doing food tech, but we're doing agriculture for the food tech industry. We're not doing general energy or general water, but we are doing systems, energy and water for agriculture. We're doing smart farming, precision agriculture, aquaculture, which is a big global need. And Class A is our most interesting and probably will cover about 50% of our company is the biology, genomics, and chemistry of agriculture, creating new seeds which are more productive and more resilient through CRISPR and through biology, creating new inputs, biostimulants, creating pest solutions, etc. Moving on. What is so unique about creating an incubator in Israel? Why should the largest ag tech incubator in the world be in Israel and not in the US or Canada or Spain or Holland or Brazil or Mexico? Two things that are unique in Israel: the science and innovation ecosystem, the amount of scientific discussion, the amount of publications, the amount of professors. There are over 1,000 PhDs in Israel related to agricultural technologies who are working on applied science. And the grants. Israeli government, last year, 5.9% of our GDP was paid back. This is tax money paid back into R&D of startups. The Israeli Innovation Authority provided 1,200 startups last year with grants. The grants are usually 50% of every dollar that you invest in early stage technology. Because we are in Sderot, it's a development zone, we're getting 75%, up to $1.5 million US per year. So a technology comes to us, is accepted. We provide $1 million of financing, of which 75% come from the government grants and 25% comes from our investors. This is really something that is very unique worldwide. Sderot is a small town, about 30,000 people, an hour south of Tel Aviv, very close to Gaza. When there are every 18 months, 24 months, there is animosity with the Hamas, with Gaza. Sderot is one of the cities that gets hurt from missiles. It is the center of the agricultural region of Israel. Around Sderot, you can find all types of agriculture. You can find crops, and you can find orchards, and you can find indoor, and you can find mushrooms and aquaculture in a 10-kilometer radius around Sderot. We have the opportunity for our technologies to have experiments and pilot programs. The municipality of Sderot is very, very supportive and excited about what we are doing. This is the building that we chose in Sderot. This is what it looks like before the innovation. It's an old theater building, and it's going to become a center for 15 startups at every given moment, and our management, and laboratories, and conference rooms, and a coffee shop, all happening in this one beautiful building. This is what the indoor is going to look like. Very modern, the laboratories are going to have permits for biological and chemical hazardous materials. It's really going to be a state-of-the-art building. Here you see the head of the Israeli Innovation Authority, Dror Bin, coming to the building 6 months ago when it was just a construction site, and going over the plans with us. This is the structure. Again, a lot of words. I'll send you the deck later on, but we're basically looking for limited partners to come in from different regions of the world who need and appreciate technology in agriculture. We already have partners from Brazil, Mexico, California, New York, Germany, and we're still growing and looking for additional partners from various agricultural regions in the world. And if any of you are interested in becoming involved, I can talk to you one-on-one on the 2 rounds of financing. 1 round of financing we're completing next month, and 1 will happen next year, early next year. So for startups, we are very attractive. We provide 100% of the funding. a great facility and labs. We're providing 10 different types of professional services, legal and accounting and bookkeeping and grant writing and HR and global business development and anything and everything that the startup needs, except for developing the actual science, we will be providing. It's a first-class incubator located in a center of our agricultural region of Israel. And we are working with the startup from inception all the way until they complete their first round of financing. The IRR here obviously is very high. If the government is taking 75% of the risk, we're talking about an IRR of about 50%. We're giving our investors also a 90-day window to pre-invest in our companies when they leave the incubator before they go out and have a public round. So we're looking for partners who are agricultural and food ecosystem players who would also be interested and excited to invest directly in our 80 portfolio companies going forward. Okay, the first 3 companies that we've signed term sheets with, I'll tell you a little bit about them. Slibio Coating has created a material naturally created from natural ingredients, which you put 10 centimeters around a tree and insects cannot climb it. They start climbing and they slip. Slibio is slip biology. It's creating a coating which doesn't kill pests, but rather prevents them from climbing on trees. Already tested, they already have their first product. We're going to be working with them on creating the next few lines of products. Very nice, very inexpensive, non-toxic, easy to apply. It doesn't hurt the earth. It doesn't hurt the underground water. It doesn't hurt the fruit. A beautiful way to take care of ants, beetles, worms, anything that climbs your fruit trees. Better Seeds is one of Israel's leading seeds company using genomics and biology to create new varieties. And we have basically licensed their true potato seeds project, and we'll be incubating it as a subsidiary in the incubator starting in next month. True potato seeds is basically a new variety of potatoes that has 2 unique things about it. One, it has a very, very high percentage of starch, which is what we use for potatoes in industry, using starch for chemicals, for cleaning detergents, for medicine. And the second thing is that these are potatoes that actually create flowers and create seeds. Potatoes are shipped for planting through tubers. You actually send a piece of a potato and it needs to be chilled, it needs to be cold, and it has a lot of diseases attracted to it. By managing to create seeds out of potatoes, you're reducing the cost, the environmental and the financial cost of importing and exporting potato seeds. And the third company, Disperse Bio, has created a safe replacement for chlor and for bleach. It's a cleaning detergent, which you can put in water. You can use it for feeding animals. It's not poisonous, and it doesn't harm the environment like chlorine and bleach. Very happy to communicate with each and every one of you directly. My email is the same email that's on the screen, but O-R-E-N in the beginning instead of office, oren@naturegrowth.com. You can also find my details on our website.
Great. Thank you for the presentation. Does anyone have a question? Maybe I can start just to break the ice. I was wondering, what is your business model? Will you charge a monthly fee from startups, or maybe not, right? Because you are providing funding and everything, but do you get royalties or equity in the startups? How do you earn money?
Excellent question. So during the incubation period, it is typical in incubators in Israel to take 8% of the budget as an operating fee, covering rent and taxes and electricity and laboratory and all of the services that we're providing, which we will also be taking the same amount. So there's some sharing of each of the companies incubator with the overhead. And also, we're taking equity in each of the companies. On average, we're going to be taking between 30 and 40% of equity in each of the companies in exchange for $2 million of financing.
Mm-hmm. Anyone have a question?
I'll say that we're partnering with Inovatec, which is a Brazilian timber and consulting firm outside of São Paulo. They're most likely going to be our first Brazilian investor, and they're also excited about the fact that we will be creating companies which are relevant for the agriculture which they lead in Brazil, especially trees for timber. And we're talking to other groups in Brazil. Brazil for us is a strong strategic market because of the size, because of the need, a big need in Brazil for protein for the next generation. Most of the fish in Brazil are being imported. Brazilians eat a lot of fish per person, per capita. Brazil is a perfect country for us to try out, to experiment new technologies. I am guessing that within the next 2 years, we will also be opening an innovation center in Brazil, working with our incubator.
Oh, that's great. I was also wondering, you mentioned that you would accept startups from abroad. If any startup here in Brazil like to apply to the incubator, how does it work? What is the criteria that you use to accept or not?
So we are basically only investing in companies where we got 75% of non-dilutive grants. Mm-hmm. If we are approaching the Israeli Innovation Authority, they require that the company's IP be in Israel and that the company be registered in Israel. It could still be a technology being developed in the University of São Paulo, professor, etc. As long as we register the IP in Israel and incorporate in Israel, we can apply for Israeli grants. If it's a Brazilian registered IP or company, we can incubate them and then approach either the European fund or the USAID, or I know that in Brazil there are not too many government-led grants in high percentages, so that's more of a challenge. We're working with universities in Holland, in Germany, in Singapore, and figuring out how we can reach the 75% non-dilutive grants in order for us to incubate technologies coming from outside of Israel.
Mm-hmm. And what are the main characteristics that you look for? That you look at, of course, the technology, but also the business model, the team. What are the criteria for being accepted?
So the investment committee has 4 criteria that they have to have 100% of the 4 in order to invest. 1, it has to be in agriculture. It has to be pro-zero hunger, pro-food security. It also has to be pro-environment, reducing the amount of pollution in agriculture. After you pass these 2, there's a score sheet of our ESG policy. There are 10 elements which give points. But if you don't have these 2 elements, you won't be accepted to the incubator. The second thing is it needs to have a minimum potential of $200 million. The product that the scientist or the entrepreneur wants to create, we check to see what is the applicable market. We are looking for big solutions to big global ag pains. The third thing is we're looking for companies that can be incubated in a period of up to 2 years. If it's a seed company that needs 6 years to develop, come to us in year 4. We're looking for the final stage of development so that when the company leaves the incubator after no more than 2 years, they are already prepared to do an independent round of financing. And the fourth element of the investment committee is it needs to have a high likelihood to receive a government grant. And the government looks at several things. They look at the team, they look at the IP, and they look at the level of innovation. Is this something which is actually creating something big and interesting in the world? So once you have all of these 4 elements, there's a process. Go through the investment committee, gets approved by the board, then it goes to the government. The government has 60 days to approve the grant, and then the company is accepted into the incubator. So there is a question here, what is the difference between the relationship NatureGrowth can develop with the Brazilian market today and in 2 years with the Innovation Center of Brazil working with your incubator? So basically, scientists like to work locally. You know, a Brazilian scientist, the likelihood that he will be creating a company based upon his technology outside of Brazil is small, because the scientists and the entrepreneurs, they don't need to work full-time in the startup, but they need to be there every few days. They need to see the team. They need to choose the team. They need to see the equipment. They need to see the results of the various tests and R&D, the development. So there is a limit to the amount of technology which can be transferred from one country to another in the early stage of startups, of deep technology startups. So if we want to tap into Brazilian science, we will have to open an innovation center in Brazil. And this is something that we're looking at. We're also looking at Singapore and Abu Dhabi as potential first branches of NatureGrowth. Eventually, we're going to be creating a large ecosystem of scientists in the agricultural technology fields. And the more scientists that are working together, the more value each of the startups has. In our incubator, in our building in Sderot, we're going to have 15 companies working side by side. Each one has 5 to 7 PhDs. So there's going to be 60 or 70 scientists having coffee in our coffee shop every day, and possibly having wine at the end of the day if we have a happy hour. So the strength of having so many scientists together is very, very relevant for each and every one of the companies, because you have somebody to ping pong with, to brainstorm with, to check theories, to work side by side. And so we want to create this in Sderot, and after 2 years, we want this network also to expand to other places in the world.
And have you chosen the location already of this research center?
It will be based upon the relationship with our Brazilian LPs. I mean, it'll be, we are not going to move to Brazil, but we are going to use the Brazilian partner to create a center. I recently visited São Paulo and met with 2 food tech incubators, very advanced, very interesting in alternative protein, in alternative milk, in sweeteners and replacements for sugar. Brazil has the science. It does not have the government grant system that Israel has, but it definitely has the science and the innovation. The desire to create new technologies exists, especially in São Paulo. So an AgTech incubator could and should be created based upon our model or other models in the next few years. The world really, really needs new technologies in agriculture. There is less space. There is more people to feed. The climate is changing. The earth is becoming sand. Rain is becoming unpredictable. People are becoming more choosy. They want farm to supermarket. They keep kosher, or they keep halal, or they're vegan, or they're gluten or lactose intolerant. We need. Food is getting expensive. The increase in the price of fresh, nutritious food over the last 5 years has more than doubled the rate of inflation. Yeah, I'm sure you feel that in Brazil. We need new technologies to create large amounts of nutritious, fresh food without hurting the environment. And the gaps will be solved through technology. Henriette wants to introduce me to Embrapal, which would be amazing. Thank you very much. I'm not in contact with them. Any other questions?
I believe that it's a government agency, right?
Is the Brazilian, yes, Embrapa is the Brazilian It's a governmental institute that studies, is a research and development center for research in agropecuary. How to say that? Agropecuary.
Yeah, agritech.
Yes, it's a very huge institution, and I think it would be important. And they have a research and development center. It would be, I think, a very good contact for you.
Excellent. They're part of the Ministry of Agriculture in Brazil?
No, I'm part of the Ministry of the Science and Technology.
Excellent. Thank you.
And as for corporations here in Brazil or producers, do you have already developed the networking with these people? Are you still planning to develop?
The answer is we have some relationships, but Brazil is an enormous country. Obviously, each state in Brazil is bigger than all of Israel. So we're very, very open and excited to making more relationships. Right now, we are in the stage where we're looking for, a large ag food fund or a corporate VC of one of the big agricultural producers to join us as a partner and to be part of what we're doing and to get the 90-day pre-investment window and to eventually help us create a center also in Brazil. So this is, ideally what we're looking for. It could be a large family fund, which is focused on agriculture. It could be a private equity fund, etc.
Mm-hmm. Oh, he had just sent you the link to this website of Embrapa, which is the government agency here in Brazil.
Thank you.
So yeah, we have big corporations here in the agtech industry. They are listed in the Brazilian market here. They made IPO several years ago. So we have giants here in this area. I'm sure that they are also looking for exciting partnerships. And we would be glad to try to reach out to these people and try to connect you with them. So especially Antonio, he has a lot of good, networking in the area. So it would be great. Does anyone have any more questions?
Very all of you to come to Israel, come down to Sderot, see the Innovation Center, best coffee and best wine in the south of Israel. Get to see our scientists, become familiar with what we're creating with our portfolio companies, and be our ambassadors in Brazil.
Great, sure. We next time I go to Israel, I'm gonna reach out and we can do it.
Excellent.
Great. If you have any other questions later, you can also, you can reach out to Oren. I'm sure that he's gonna able to reply. And again, I would like to thank everyone for being here today, and Oren for accepting my invitation to present NatureGrowth for us. On behalf of Sabra Tech Hub, I would also like to thank again the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce at Rio, Ribeirão Preto, and Santa Catarina, the Israel-Brazil Chamber of Commerce at Tel Aviv, and the Academic Incubator of Technology and Innovation, IATFEMA, for their support. And thanks also to Oxytrade for being our sponsor. Sabra Tech Hub is an initiative created by WISPLine with the support of the Brazil-Israel Chamber of Commerce at Rio to promote the dissemination of Israeli technologies in Brazil. So if you guys liked our event today, stay tuned for more interesting content over the next weeks. So thanks again, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.